Yes. Anyway, what is the Gaz Williams Show? People ask me, and I don't actually know. Other than I kind of like to show things, and I always have. And tonight we will be looking at the Elektron Octatrack, and in conjunction with the Moog DFAM, or Drummer from Another Mother. And what I thought I would do is do some sampling and sample the DFAM into the Octatrack. Like that. my cunning split screen there. DFAM. Wow. We have looked at it briefly on the show, but this is tonight. Well, actually, this is quite fun sampling. I think it's designed to be sampled, really, because you can do an awful lot with it when you perform in real time. But of course, that takes up your entire concentration and anyway, blah, blah, blah. I've just come out of another session. I've been on a session production working on the new Kevin Feige's quartet album at the moment, which is great, and it's really up my street. I love it. I'm really dead chuffed to be working with such a brilliant musician, and the musicians who he works with are all top notch. And recorded at Rockfield, the glorious Rockfield Studios, which just sounds amazing. It is such a brilliant sounding studio, so no wonder it's legendary, you know. However, my brain is pickled somewhat by that because I've literally come out of that one session straight into this. So, as per usual, flying by the seat of my pants. But that's okay. That's what you tune in this show for, surely. And anyway, so like I mentioned, Octatrack is going to feature, as is the DFAM. Now, you can see the sub-harmonicon just in the bottom here, and below that is the Mother 32. And the Mother 32 will be providing a crucial role in as much as it's going to be converting the clock signal. Oh, we can just hear it. There we go. It gets in here. So we got MIDI out of the Octatrack going into the Mother 32, which will then, we'll send transport from the Octatrack, and then that'll start and stop the DFAM. Something about the DFAM which is kind of interesting is the DFAM is an entirely analog device. There is nothing digital about it whatsoever, even though the other two are very much analog synths. There's digital control elements in them, whereas the DFAM is very kind of pure in that respect. Oh, hey, look. Hello, everybody. Nice to see people in the chat room. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to try and keep a kind of a semi-eye on the chat room, because there are a bunch of mischievous imps who can lead me astray somewhat. Although the veterans of this show kind of appreciate the peril of such of such a thing. Okay, so I mentioned the DFAM then is actually getting, at the moment, and we'll patch a bunch of other things in, and I'll get my head out of the way for that. But it's getting its clock from the Mother 32 here, and that. So first thing, what I've just done, and again, this is one of these things, I've created a brand new project in the Octatrack. But when you do create a new project in the Octatrack, something to be aware of is that your settings, your system settings, are sort of tied into the project. So MIDI setups and stuff are on a project level. Now I could save a generic setup and always open that project first, then save to another project. I could do that. So it just necessitates a little visit into the setup each time you're in a new project. So, but that's okay, because I like to show things, as I've mentioned. So for instance, in sync, I'm going to be sending the Mother 32. I want to send transport, yes, and clock, yes. So that's it really. So yeah, we can see action when I press play is good. And in fact, even better than that is, yeah, DFAM action. Stop, run, stop, run, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, I stopped it on 1. There's no reset to get this back to 1. You have to sort of advance through. But of course, you can't advance through if it's waiting for a gate signal. Pow, pow. Oh, started running. Advance, like so. It's kind of agricultural in a way, if I can say that in a way that's not offensive to it, or to agricultural fans, really. Although I'm sure agricultural fans wouldn't be that offended by comparing an analog synth to it. Anyway, I digress. That makes no sense whatsoever. Right. So what on earth am I going to do? Well, I am going to make some samples, I think, and I'll make samples which are cropped in length, or maybe not. We'll maybe do a mixture. So I'll try and engage with the Octatrack a little bit. Now, the Octatrack, I've had hold of this Octatrack for a few years, and I've used it quite a lot. And I've got a huge deal of respect for it. I love it. In fact. But, you know, they are famous for having a quirky interface. And the more I use it, the more I kind of get up to speed with it. But that is certainly something very true about Elektron devices in general. I was talking to Robbie Bronneman about this. He loves the idea of them and he loves the sound of them, but he just doesn't really enjoy the workflow. And I read that quite often. You know, some people don't like it, some people do like it. You do have to be quite invested in it, I think. And I think that is the thing. Some people maybe don't want to invest themselves in it enough to really, to get the most out of them. But I think one of the problems that exists about the Octatrack in terms of classification is that it is very difficult to classify, really. It really is kind of in a league of its own. Although behind me, I don't know if it's in shot, just about in shot, the Isla S2400, there is a tiny amount of crossover. It's funnily enough. Another product I would say that there is a crossover with is the Roland MC707, and I do strongly believe that the Octatrack has heavily influenced the development of the 707, or certainly the Elektron workflow has. But the Octatrack is 10 years old, and it's out now in a brand new black livery. This is the Mark II's original colour scheme, and I think they had that limited edition run to celebrate the 10th anniversary that sold out instantly. Again, probably testament to the fact that this little machine most definitely has its fans, and I would count myself definitely one of them. So first thing I'm going to do then is, with the Octatrack, is I want to be able to hear the DFAM. So there's a bunch of different ways to do that, but I think the most fun way to do it in this case will be to create a through machine. So a through machine essentially being a giving up the processing so I can put my effects onto this now, and I can also apply my LFO, and yeah, you can do some pretty cool things. But the thing that does confuse people, and it really confused me, so I'm sure other people will relate to this, is that the track recorder, there's 8 track recorders, and each track recorder, it sits on track 1, sits on and it kind of makes sense for them to do that, but they are independent. And I'll show you a little thing later that may help clarify that, because it really is kind of weird. Because you think, if I'm using up track 1 as a through machine, essentially external input, does that mean I can't record into it? Don't you have to have flex machines to record into? Flex machines? What are they? So there are lots of conundrums with the Octatrack, simply because it really just doesn't have a parallel, really. Anyway, one of the things that now I've created and I've set the tracks off. how is this? Oh yeah, I need to make sure. Let's just get that screen up a moment. The Octatrack, yeah. You know, why can't I hear anything? Well, that's the thing. That's probably a bit too small to see, but through machines need to be put into play, and once they're in play, then the good stuff is meant to happen. See, this is Octatrack 101. Oh, there we go. It's just, I just need to dial up a few things, but they need to be in play. So a little tip is, if you put the Octatrack into step mode and put a step on track 1, on step 1, when you push play, it will instantly put the pattern. It'll turn it on. It'll turn the input monitoring on. You know, this kind of stuff seems crazy, and and it's enough to drive you around the bend, in terms of, oh, why can't I make that do what I want it to do? However, that's one way of listening to an external signal. I could just go to the mixer and turn up the direct input, but here's a bit of a problem with this. Don't know if you're listening in stereo, but when you use this direct mixer, there's no way to pan an input. So that's the downside of that. So using a through machine is cool, because a through machine, I can have, so let's set this through machine up. Right. My through machine now, I can choose where it gets its input. And I've got 2 pairs, A, B, and C and D. And you can bring them in all, A, B, A, which is in the case what we're looking for now, B, A, etc. So sorry, A and B, or A plus B. So A plus B sort of makes a mono sum of both inputs. So it's really, that's kind of flexible. But here's another thing. You've got a volume control here, but that sometimes it sounds a bit quiet, and there's a second volume control in the amp page. So you bring the volume up, and I think pretty much, let me just turn that down for a moment, you get to kind of line level or somewhere like it with a combination of them. It's a little bit weird because it's quite hard to monitor. I've got my little LED light here, which is showing a kind of a green, is kind of like weak. Well, not weak, but it's fine. And it will go orange through to red. Anyway, let's get into a bit of the DFAM activity then. So 8-step sequencer. I'm going to take all the velocity steps off and I'll bring them in one at a time. So we'll start building a rhythm. Right. So I'll just start with just a step on 1, and then we'll play around with some of the settings. Right. I don't know how much of it to try and explain because I'm going to move really quickly. It gets so much fun. Okay, I'm going to bring in a few more steps now. You just get into these really funky little sequences. Low pass. That's that, then, Oof. Yeah. So it's dead cool, isn't it? But I mean, you know, as I say, there's no sequencer, well, digital kind of stuff which captures all your, you know, automations, motion record, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I think it makes for quite a cool device to sample. So let's talk a little bit about the sampling options on the Octatrack, and then we'll kind of think about some of the ways to go about this. You may have noticed when I was just messing around with the DFAM then, I went, you know, it has a switchable low pass, high pass. So with that, you know, it's fantastic for getting, you know, if you put it into high pass, it's really good for getting cymbals and high-end percussive stuff in there. Right, but let's make some samples. Now, I could approach this in a few different ways. I might be thinking, do I want to sample... do I want to just build up a load of samples and then use those samples, you know, then create a separate project or whatever, or make a load of samples first and then create a tune afterwards? Or do you want to sort of just, you know, do I want to make a track in real time, which is much more fun for you. But I think what I'll do first, if you don't mind, though, is I'll just do a little bit of old fuddy-duddy old school style sampling, and just like grab a couple of parts there. And the reason I'll do that is I'll just walk through some of the ways of doing that if you were kind of making samples that you want to, as I say, use on other projects. So I mentioned there's 8 track recorders, and what that boils down to is 8 different configurations of a recorder. So in track recorder 1, which I can access by selecting track 1 and then going into the little setup page here. When I go to track recorder 2, you know, each of the 8 have their own setups, and there's 2 pages of there's 2 pages of options here. So a way of explaining that, which could be quite cool, is you could have track 5, for instance, could be always ready to grab the main output, you know, the master output, like source 3 here. We could also, there is a Q bus on the Octatrack with a separate Q out, so that Q bus could be set to record what's being sent to the Q, or any of the outputs of any of the tracks 1 to 8. So it's pretty flexible. But in this case, you know, I could set up track 5 to be main. So anytime I want to grab whatever's going on. So if you imagine, I could even have like 4 separate different synths coming in. And then they could all be routed through the effects and into the master bus, and then so I could just record instantly into track 5. Whereas track 1, its recording is going to be set up in this case. Track 1 will be configured to record only the input from the DFAM, and then a bunch of the other settings which may or may not be of interest. Record length. That's how we can make our nice kind of quantized loops. So I'll set it to 64. So I'll record essentially 4 bar. I'll make 4 bar loops. Right. Now, in order to make sure, if you're going to be recording nicely truncated loops, what you do is when you're in this record setup, oops, I need to start the track. If you arm the track, then you can put in a record trigger on the downbeat there. So as soon as I start playing, it will start recording, and it's set to record for 64 steps. So that's one thing that's quite cool. But what's better than that, what will happen here, because the pattern is only set to 1 bar, is when it gets round, it'll hit the record trigger, and then it'll start recording over what it just did. Now, that's brilliant, and that's the thing into itself. But if I'm recording like a 64 step pattern, I don't want it to restart. Now, one way I can do it is as soon as it started recording, is I can just pull it out of record. So when it loops back, it doesn't re-trigger the record engine. But better is hold function and turn it, and it's flashing yellow and red. And now that means it's kind of an armable trigger, and it's unarmed at the moment. And like if you press no, if you ever see disarm track and wonder what that's about, well, it's disarming that. So like just a yes will arm the track. But what I like doing though is I like pressing it and seeing it connect, because then I feel confident. Then it's all good to start. So for sake of example, then let's just record. Oops, I didn't arm it. Let's arm it. Oh, and you know what? I've forgotten the thing that I was going to do, which I'm going to do it. Do you know what? I don't think you can do that technique if it's a through track. I'll do this in another way. I'll grab it by punching in instead, and then yeah, I think these auto tracks, I think they need to be flex machines for that to work. Whoops. I will be doing that. So I just well, let's say that's one thing that I could do, is I could say go to track 6, and I could say track 6 is going to be a flex recorder, a flex machine, and then track 6's record engine I could set up to record from input A. And now when I'm in that record menu for track 6 and I set up one of those things, then it'll work in track 6, because it's recording. It'll do its 4 bars. No, it won't do its 4 bars because I forgot to set up how long record length is of that engine, 64 steps. So that's an amazing little example I just did there of some of the irritating complexities of the Octatrack. You know, it's a really peculiar workflow, and it can get really confusing. However, you can, and this is what I'm hoping to sort of achieve a bit of tonight, is once you start coming up with ideas of how you can do things, it's like, oh, okay, so I can make my recorder happen on it can start recording on any beat or any step of my 64, if I created a 64 step pattern. So if you start recording many, many loops, you can have them starting at different parts within a kind of bar or 4 bar. So then when those loops all start, all their start points will be all over the shop. Right. I'm checking in with the chat room. I'm sure I hope they're not all asleep. Yeah. Dara M is getting overwhelmed with the button presses and menu dives. I wondered about that. I'm sorry about that. Once I get a few things set up, then there'll be a lot less of that. It'll be much more hands-on. I guess it's just sort of talking about the Octatrack is... actually, we should get a little bit more of the Octatrack. Let's get its... Yeah, let's get his steps in the shot. Okay, so 8 different recorder engines. I guess what I was trying to demonstrate there, though, is even though it's number 6, I'm kind of recording. I can choose any setup, any record setup on any track, and any point in time I can record into any of these engines. So there's a shortcut way of doing things as well, where you hold a track and press. Sorry, not even hold a track. When whatever track you've got selected, like I've got my through track on here, but if I hit record, I'm sampling into track 1. That's a pretty manic drum beat. And you kind of go, oh, how can I listen back to that? Because track 1 is a through track and not a playback track. Well, this is where there's another convoluted workflow. Function and go into the third record menu and say edit this recording, yes. And now we can see it. Track 1's recording. It says T for through machine. But if I hold down function yes, the preview, it swaps it into a flex machine. I don't know if you can see that. It's a through machine and then preview it into flex machine. So it's why am I explaining this? I'm explaining this because these are the sort of things that confuse people, that the 8 recorders and the 8 tracks are not, you know, mutually linked. They can be entirely independent from each other. Oh my goodness. I totally get why people get fried by this. I mean, I get fried by it. But anyway, I've made like a little loop here. Not a very tidy one, but a bunch of options are available to me now. I've got a little... so I can preview a little bit of it. You know, typically I can change my start positions and end positions and all that kind of stuff. And then... of course, you can kind of use this as a form of granular sort of. If I get it looping and then trigger it. You know, lovely. But so this edit page, I guess what I'm trying to show there is that this edit page, even though it's an edit page, you can still kind of use it for sort of, you know, manipulating the stuff in real time. Yeah, but sort of the things that you might want to do in here would be to go into the edit menu and you can crop the selection, all that kind of stuff as you'd expect, put fade ins, but I'd like probably normalize. I have been normalizing everything. Now herein is a thing. Right, I'm normalizing a really small loop here. Oh, that didn't take too long, but normalizing can be like incredibly long. I've been doing like 5 minute. I've been pretty much making 5 minute jams, and normalizing that takes about 20 minutes. No, not that long. Right. So I got my sample. It's a bit ragged. I didn't start and stop it properly. I'm going to dismiss this sample. This is just showing part of the process. So, so in a little record edit, what am I going to do with this? Do you know what? I'll save it anyway. It doesn't matter. But yeah, sorry. In a file, I'm going to go save and assign sample. Clear. Now, I'm going to make this is a cuckoo tip, so I'm going to thank him for this. If I just, in this little kind of thing, if you just bear with me, because I'll only do this the once. I'll say Moog DFAM. And at that point there, now I've bothered to enter all that in, function copy, and the name is copied to the clipboard. So future samples, I'll just, you know, DFAM 1, yes. Now, this is a bit I just wanted to show you though, is assign to self, assign to flex, or assign to free static. So if I assigned it to self, it would load the sample in to slot 1. But I'm going to assign to free static. And what the free static list is files which are on the card, not within the kind of limited sample memory. So now that's saved to the card and is accessible as well because it's in the sample pool of this particular new project we've just made. So That's the kind of gist. So once that's now it's all set up. I've got my folder set up. I've got my kind of basic sample name set up. Then I can go about sampling the DFAM in a bunch of ways. Do I want to sample truncated loops? Or do I want to make just spontaneously? Well, I'll say so. If I was to spontaneously grab samples, then I literally just hit. All I need to do is just hit record, and because I've gone to that effort, well, whatever effort it was, of just configuring it already, it's all good. Like if you know you're going to be making loops, there is a kind of fade in, fade out parameter that you could put in. In fact, I'd put in that's the smallest amount. 63 in and out. It means then at least your sample start point and your sample end point are going to have a little mini fade on it, so there won't be any nasty zero crossing or non-zero crossing clicks. So having these 8 different ones you can configure is kind of pretty cool. I will get into a little bit of this later as well. The Octatrack's part system, of which there's 4. Again, this completely is so weird because it's so different from anything else. The part system means that all your configuration, you can have 4 different ones, so you can jump between different parts. Example being there in this part 1. We've got a through machine set up on track 1. And if we remember, we've got a flex machine set up there on track 6. But if I change the part to say, well, I've gone to part 3, then all are in the default static. God, this is really boring unless you're an Octatrack user. I suppose what I'm really interested in workflows. I really like groove boxes and drum machines and all-in-one music making machines. I've got a real particular passion for them. So I'm always very curious about the workflows and what entails the workflow. What inhibits workflow, or what kind of makes the workflow go fast. So I'm getting a bit bogged down in details here for you, but I guess in a way, my love of this box is that it is super configurable, and once you get on top of that configuration and make it start working for you, then that's when it starts to shine really, and its uniqueness and playability comes to the fore. Now, the great Dataline, Mr. Dataline, or Cenk, who, as we know him and love him from Elektron. He's fantastic with the Octatrack, and I saw something that he was, I can't remember if it was on Twitch or something. He was doing a stream where he was playing the adventure game Monkey Island, the first one, but he was sampling. He had the output of his computer or console or whatever going through the Octatrack. So as he was playing the game, he was actually sampling it and making tunes up out of bits as the game. So he's concurrently playing the game and Octatracking it up. And I thought that was really cool. And something that the Octatrack is really well set up for, such a unique and odd thing to do. All right. Now, with that part system, here's the thing, it does say PT3. Oh, there's a bit of reflection on the screen there. PT3, indicating we're in part 3. But if you've inadvertently changed part and then go to do stuff and it doesn't do it, and it's like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it doing that thing? And have you changed part? There's so many of those things with the Octatrack. Yeah. It's quite fun in a way. These two devices, they couldn't be more different, really. The Octatrack, full of its, obviously fully digital thing, and the DFAM just being, really is, what you see is what you get. Well, until you start to mess with things there. Right. I think we need more grooves. And I think that pattern I was playing around with on the DFAM was intense. And I think we need to find something a bit more mellow. So I will press play. I swear there's a funky thing going on with it. It's got funk in its soul, the DFAM has. It just seems to have a groove about it. It's to do with the velocities being different on the steps and the velocity having such a big effect on the way it sounds. It's just... I should be sampling this now, shouldn't I? Oh, why don't I? So this is something I'm always wondering about when I'm making samples. You know, it's like grab a sample. How quick is it to go from, yeah, I want to keep that sample, I want to use it, to getting onto the good stuff about getting the next sample. This is actually not too bad. So I thought this is kind of cool thing to do. So I've made a sample. I just grabbed it into my track one there. What am I going to do? Well, I could just save this recording. Pow. Save sample as. This is where that technique comes in. Function, paste, and there it is, the name from before to, yeah, where to a free sample. Now I'm ready to go again, and you can do that fairly quick. That's not too bad. And obviously that shortcut of pasting the name, I think, is a huge time saver. So let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. I think this is kind of fun. I'm going to be I'm grabbing the sample. They're going to be a bit weird when I'm truncating it, where the sample is, where I'm starting sampling from, but it is going to record 64 steps from the moment that I step it in. So yeah, so they will still be nicely truncated. But the level thing, yes, here's something. One thing to be aware of, like if I just go and look at that recording that we just made, it's pretty small. I mean, it's, oh, sorry. Let's show what's going on. If I bring it in, it's pretty small. I've got the DFAM is maxed out in terms of the volume level, and yet coming into the line inputs, it's kind of pretty small there. So how can I get more gain? Well, if I go into the mix, the gain control here, oops, not that one, not the direct control, but the gain control will add gain. So I'm going to try adding about 30 dB, or that's not 30 dB, I don't know what it is, plus 30. What does it go to? 63, yeah. So let's add a 30 dB, 30 plus 30, whatever that is. And that's nice. Yeah. Okay, so this time we'll say edit recording. it's quite a bit louder. I mean, obviously it's not a huge sound. It's a kind of quite a filtered sound. Oops. Yeah. Now, of course, I can normalize it, which, as I was saying, can take quite a long time to normalize. But I'm just going to experiment a moment, and I'm going to go back to that little mix there, and I'm going to max the gain up there, 63, and then see what happens. I'll just watch my level there in case it. Let's make it different for that. Yeah. Okay, let's record some of this. Okay. Let's have a look at that one then. Yeah. Alrighty, all right. So just having a little play around with some of those kind of gain settings. I guess that must act more like an attenuator, perhaps, to what is the line level, like, because that's maxed out, and that looks like a nice solid level. Yeah, they sound wicked. So again, file, save and assign sample, yes. Function, paste our name, yes. 3, yes. Assign to free static, yes. So again, the static stuff will make sense. It's going into a list, like a playlist of samples which are available to this project. And that's where all of the great fun of layering these samples and all the kind of sample locking and all of the cool stuff. Martin Taylor saying, I'd like the Octatrack if I was 30 years younger. Yeah. Oh man, I'd have loved this as a teenager. Holy cow. Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am kind of getting a bit Octatrack tutorial-y, and that wasn't my intention. My intention is to get to the good stuff and to kind of do some kind of creative things with the sampling process. So just explaining it is, yeah, just so you kind of get what I'm up to. But from now, though, I think I'm just going to keep doing that same process of building samples up. I'll go for about another 4 more kind of things, and then we'll try then sequencing up those parts. Okay. I'll work with the volume level a little lower and then put it back up ready to sample. There was some suggestions for some patching that I missed earlier. Yeah, it's like it's just got a wicked sound about this thing. See, that's got a wicked bit of groove about it, hasn't it? Now, is it going to bite me on the bum when I don't use the proper... I can do it. I could sample nice truncated loops. I can do it. I've set up an engine to do that. So why am I not doing that? Oops. Let's just say, edit that recording. Let's have a look at it. Is that the one? Yeah. Okay. With the samples I have been making, I have been normalizing all of them as I've been going along. Now that looks a bit quieter than I was expecting. Oh, I'm an idiot. What did I say? I said I turned the volume down, didn't I, for whilst I'm sampling. Let me turn the volume down on the fade mixer instead. That was foolish. I'm going to just do that again. Oh, let's do it anyway with this flex machine instead. And then so the flex machine, that is set up to record from there. That's all good. And in the record engine, yeah, there it is. It's there. It's ready. It's all set. It's all good. It's armed. And let's do it. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, there's our signal level looking really nice and within nice and legal. A very nice legal waveform there. And now that one is absolutely starting bang on the downbeat there. Whereas the ones I was putting in, that might go from the next, where I've pressed play, I might have just been slightly after the step. So some of them earlier loops may run from, like a 16th in from where I'd expected it to, whereas this is going to be bang on. And in fact, we could zoom that if we go to the start there. We can see, look at that, our first beat there. And that's exactly what we want to see, really, isn't it? So it's really handy in the Octatrack that you can record in such a manner. Because it means, well, there's two ways we've seen me doing it. There's this one way where you're setting up a kind of record trig, or the other way where I'm just simply pressing record on whatever track I'm on, whatever it's recording set up. Well, actually, I think it will still record into track 1 if I press. Maybe not. Ignore me. Yeah. But anyway, so that's one of the things with the Octatrack, is that there isn't necessarily one straight, clear way of doing things. There's quite often many ways to do things, and quite often none of that is particularly clear. Yeah. So if you really like clear thinking, or, a very what you see is what you get, or that kind of approach to stuff, then the Octatrack is not for you. The Octatrack is a cerebral device. Elektron devices are cerebral devices in many ways, in that what you see is only part of the story. You kind of got to know the whole engine in your head and where everything is. And yeah, maybe that's why some people don't like it, because that is definitely more demanding of your concentration. Anyway, speaking of which, I'm just checking in with the chat room. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. It's so amazing doing this. May I ask something? I'd like a favour, if you will. Let me just go to my favour cam here. Can everybody comment where they are in the world, please? And if you're watching this after the live effect, because the only reason for doing this is it just makes me feel incredibly happy when I know that people all over the world tune into the show. Yeah, so if you're watching this after the fact, please let me know. And if you're watching it live, also please let me know, because that's such a buzz, that is. I love seeing it. Anyway, that is utterly not relevant. That's purely to satiate my my curiosity, really. I see Porto, Munich, Stockholm, Brighton, Sheffield, Copenhagen, San Francisco, Lucerne, Brooklyn, South London, Cornwall, Tallinn, Estonia, Brazil, Nottingham, Brighton, Romania. Oh man, Bromley, Sheffield. Oh, look, Stockholm, Sweden, Minnesota, Austria. See, I'm just like a melted puddle of goo after seeing all of this. Near M32, Bristol, Finland, Paris, 2 from Paris there, Clevedon, all over the world, Nottingham, Atlanta, Godalming, Surrey, Rotterdam, Plymouth, Belgium, Moscow, wow, you know, Netherlands, Amsterdam, Liverpool, Warwick. I'm like just like really happy. I'm Budapest, God, more Amsterdam, Denmark, Southeast England. Ah, yes. Okay, thank you. That, as I say, that's my that's just to make me feel happy. So I really appreciate that. And please, yes, if you're watching this after the fact, please comment where you are from. Yeah, I say just purely to make me happy, if you would be so kind. Reykjavik, wow, Albuquerque, Timbuktu, Czech Republic, Wales. Okay, yeah, enough. That's so A to Z is going. Okay, enough. The first Mars colony, Caerphilly. Anyway, sorry. I'm going to stop looking there now, so please don't write anymore because I'm going to be looking this way instead. Right, yeah. So I'm just making samples. So yeah, I've got my two ways to do it. You know, I've got my just pressing record, or I've got my setting up a record trick. So that gives me no excuse not to do any more. So let us get another pattern on the go. I'm not getting particularly explainy about the DFAM, but in a nutshell, there's 2 oscillators and a noise source, an 8-step sequencer that gives you velocity steps and pitch steps. The pitch mod of the sequencer, you can set it to change, you know, you can turn it off so it's not affecting the pitch of the oscillators, or you can have it affecting only oscillator 2, or you can have it affect oscillators 1 and 2. Oh, I won't get into it too much, but yeah, the waveforms are simply either a square wave or a triangle wave in oscillator 1, whereas oscillator 2, oh no, it's the same. Yeah, they're both the same actually. Yeah, a square wave and a triangle wave. You can sync oscillator 2 to oscillator 1, and yeah, we've got a noise level. And then a big thing about this is the envelopes, and there's 3 envelopes, and they are they're quite simple envelopes, but it's the combination of the way the envelopes work. Like we've got our, at the end here, our VCA decay. Let's play with the decay for a moment. Open it up a bit. Let's get a bit more level here. Decay. Why does it always sound so funky? Bumpy there. Okay, so a bit of a busy pattern. Let's just simplify this pattern a little bit. It's not quite as funky. Let's just go dead simple with this a moment. Let's just it's starting to approximate a acoustic kick, funnily enough. So you could, it's getting into the ballpark. So I'll just do I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to record 4 bars. I'll just record like this. It's just 4 separate kicks. So what's the best parameter to get 4 variations? So I'm just going to find the control and probably actually the decay. So, oh yeah, frequency. That's good. So I think, yeah, I'll just do some kicks, some real tight ones. Tight, less tight, less tight, boomy. Okay. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Yeah. So we'll do it that way. So I'll do my little sample thing. Yeah, I'll arm that. Right, let's see if I can get the timing right of this now. Longer, up, short. There we go. So that gave me a bunch of a bunch of different kicks on that one there. There they are, and that looks right. With some with more decay and stuff on there. Okay, so that's a little collection of kicks. So, you know, that's another way of sampling it, I suppose. And then I could use in the Octatrack that single sample there. I can slice it. I could do all sorts of things to get at those different kicks. And in fact, that is the kind of thing that we'll be doing shortly. I need to check with the chat room again because it's all kicking off there. Wow. Oh, there's still a few other places coming in. Poland and Wrocław. UFO capital Warwick in UK. Is Warwick indeed the capital? Chicago. Oh, that's amazing. It's so really, really cool. Thank you ever so much for all that, though, folks. Really appreciate that. Right. So I'm going to sample. I'm going to save that little set. Oh, do you know? I think did I just wipe it? I did. I did. You see, someone asked me in comments the other day regarding the Octatrack. You know, is there an undo and a looper? And there isn't, and there isn't any kind of undo in the Octatrack at all. It's you know, any error now. So I'm gonna have to resample my kicks again, which isn't a massive hassle. Oh, speaking of massive hassles, and for those of you who are interested in Gaz speak, I often use the word massel, which is a kind of a coming together of massive hassle. So a massel is, yeah. Am I going to put together a thing for a show? Like, oh, it would be fun, but it would be a bit of a massel. I'll stick with the Octatrack and the Moogs, etc., etc., etc. So, S, right? Anyway, just moving on. I got to sample that again because I made a mistake, which is, as I say, very easy to do. But it's not a massel in this case. I've just got to remember to do the decays. Let's just practice. I'm going to get some of them as well, actually. I'm going to start with that one, I think. There we go. Now, I'll show you what. Well, I'll show you what I did wrong there. Is if you hit record edit instead of function record edit to go into that menu, then it will start recording, and it will and because it's like a buffer type recorder, it'll immediately replace what was in the buffer. So function record, that's what you do. It's as easy as that. Just go in that button without holding down function, and it's gone, and there's no undo. You know, that's hardcore. You know, so yeah, that's one of the more negative aspects of these things. Edit this recording, great. I can see my kicks there. In fact, the last one looks like it didn't. Did it get in? Did it get all the way in? Oops. Not quite. Oh yeah, maybe just. Yeah. Okay. So let's save that then. Save and assign sample function. Paste. My name is still there. It's remembered it, which is good. 4. Yeah. Cuckoo. That was one of the first, I don't know, was it maybe one of the first things I watched Cuckoo doing? Octatrack tutorials. Way back. Somebody's done very well, really, to help teach thousands of people. He's brilliant, though, Cuckoo. He's got such a lovely, quirky, unique, gentle. He's gentle. He's got a really gentle way about him, and he's a really sweet person as well. You know, I'm really glad to have met him on quite a few occasions now, and it is as lovely as you could ever have hoped he would be. You know. Yeah, there is a little video on Sonic State, I think, where it was the first time that we ever physically met. We'd known about each other and chatted to each other online for a good few years before, and I think it was a Pocket Operators that he was kind of showing. Anyway, it's on YouTube. But yes, that was our first time. And just to clear something up, yes, indeed, just to clear something up, the amount of people who've called me Cuckoo's dad is quite considerable, really, when I'm only 4 years older than him. Yes. Older brother, absolutely fine. Yeah. There's 4 years difference with me being older, so there we go. I can't possibly be his dad. Sorry if that puts those rumours to bed. But I could be his brother. Right. So what am I doing? I've just saved my latest samples. So in my little array of samples that I've been making then, any of these tracks, I'll go to track 4, for instance, and we've got our 4 samples available to select. But, you know, it becomes quite good fun when you start sample locking, and I need a bunch more. I need about another at least 4, I think, for this next process. Ones that are really radically different from what we've got. So getting a few different kicks in the bag was quite a cool move, I think. It's always good to have a little kick that I can sort of drop in. Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to life. So we're going to go track 6 still selected, and I'm going to go back into this little sampling-y window thing. It's quite cool seeing the little reel rolling though, because you know you're recording when that reel is rolling. Jamie Murray saying, I do believe I spied a Isla Instruments drum machine in the background of the last stream. Sorry, coming in from the chat room. Yeah, there it is, and a very fine thing it is too. And I'm working on a workflow. I'm talking about workflows. I'm currently working on a modular sampling workflow. That's why it's there, and I feel that that's a really nice little setup there. Living here is asking me, is Bo Beats my nephew? No, he's not. Although he's a dear friend as well, and a lovely person who is pretty mad as well, to be fair. Although I'm sure he would accuse me of being the same. Right, more samples. Yeah, so let's just right, I've just got my little basic kick thing to go at the moment. Let's maybe build a kick pattern. I'm going to set the pitch to change now. Let's get the filter open. See the VCO decay. Oh yeah. Some of these knobs on here actually, any amount. I think they're bipolar. So when you set them to 0, isn't necessarily. So you get this. So again, oh gosh, I'm so sorry doing that again. Yeah. It's got a funk about it. Again, it's just how much the little velocities make a difference. It's just an 8-step sequence. That's a groove. I like that groove. So we'll have a bit of that as well, if we may, please. So I'll do this in that record way with the trigger. Okay, got a few little variations in on there as well. Okay, there's one more. I'll just do the old thing one more time here. Right. Function. Edit this recording. Yes. Just have a little look at it. And it's looking nice. That'll do. Save and assign sample. Yes. Function. Paste. Paste name. Yes. 5. Yes. I like it how when next time I go to it, 5 will still be highlighted in that little kind of letter selector page. Assign to free static. Yes. Static 5. Oh, okay. I'm going to try and go quick. I'll try and get this list up to 10. So we're halfway. Oh, chat room. Oh, shucks. Chat room. Right, more grooves, more things. Okay, so we need a more snare. Let's get a snare vibe on the go. Ooh, just back that off a moment. I must remember to turn it back up. Yeah, let's so. Yeah. Let's try and make it a bit more snarey. Take a bit of the boing out. And look at this. You get it. Oh, I'm on a wrong synth. Sorry. God, I'm getting my switching dodgy. Right. That sounds pretty. It's got a bit of boing in there, but let's. It's flipping. It sounds awesome. ALM say put some delay on it. I could. I will. I'll talk about that in a moment. Well, I mean, I absolutely could put delay on it, couldn't I? Because yeah, I could put some delay on it quite easily. However, I was going to do that later. I was going to add some effects to our samples. So I'm just going to keep on making samples. I'm going to make them dry, and then but that was cool. What's cool there is if I was to go, say, to my 6, I could choose to record. If I chose the source 3 and I chose it track 1, then it would be recording it after the, it would be recording what's coming into input 1, the through machine, and it would take the signal after the effects in stereo. So it's cool. Yeah. So all 8, don't forget, are stereo tracks on the Octatrack. That is a crucial, it's a crucial difference from other things. I'm just trying to de-smear the screen. Not a touch screen. Now, there is much griping about the small screens on Elektron stuff, and I genuinely think it's not much of a problem. I think they're clear and you can read them at any angle. I think they're actually really, really good screens. I think excellent, in fact. I think this is an improvement on the Mark 1 in the screen department, and similarly the Mark 2s of the analog machines have got better. The screens are definitely better and more appealing, and more legible as well. But it's only having to impart a certain amount of information, the screen, but the complexity of the device maybe isn't helped by the small screen, shall we say, and there is possibly just a little bit of visual information lacking in some cases with the Octatrack. These little teeny icons, right, but that's me. Oh God, it doesn't. Little icon. Oops. These little tiny icons. That is really important to notice what they're up to. Like as I mentioned, for instance, if I double tap stop, which essentially acts a bit like a MIDI panic as well, it will end any sample that's running. I can't make this screen. There we go. I don't know. But the through machine is stopped now, and thus we won't hear anything. Well, except we will, because I've put something that makes the through machine turn on. Oops. So I'll better just sample some of that snare kind of vibe, I think, and I'll do that using the flex machine. Arm it. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, I made a mistake. I had the volume of it turned down again. I should only turn it down on my mixer rather than on the Octatrack. Let's just make that. Oh, there we go. it's got a real kind of good old kind of crack to it, hasn't it? I mean, it's got a definite mass to the sound, I think, the DFAM. Yeah, okay, so let's do that. My track is armed. Let's get a few delays. Okay. All right, process, edit this recording. Let's just have a look at it. Oh, holy cow. Ah. Yeah, I think we might just need to do those ones again. I think probably back the volume off on that. Let's just do that again. Okay. Oh, still a bit on the hot side. One more. I'm just. No, I will. I'll just back the gain off on the unit itself quite a lot. Oops. Oh, there we go. Yeah. That should be better. Yeah. Haha. Ta-da! Very presentable waveforms now, ladies and gentlemen. Look. There. It's a lovely waveform, I'm sure you'll agree. Right. Save it now! Don't lose it. Yes. Function. Paste. 6. Yes. Oops. Oh, what did I do? I think I might have just messed up things then. I didn't save it. Let me just do that again. Make sure it is. Oh! I think I know I'm on the wrong track. I am on the wrong track. Phew. There it is. Yes. It's not a muscle, but we will save this recording. Yes. Oops, wrong save. This save. Save and assign sample. Yes. Function. Paste. 6. Yes. Assign. Okay. I kind of got it partly wrong. Edna's Disco Machine's going, this is what I mean about the Elektron interface. Yes. Yes. You know, it's a funny one. But it's so flexible in what it allows you to do. Some of these things kind of fall down from that flexibility. So it's it can be quite frustrating. I've been using this a lot lately. And in fact, I'm making a video that you'll see soon that features these Moog semi-modulars. And I've been really trying to spend a lot of time with them and playing with all three and trying to learn to make music with all three. I'm not going to do that tonight. That is something I will be doing. And in this video, that upcoming video that I've got. But that's just to give you a little bit of background. But I've been using the Octatrack. In that video that I'm making, it's not actually about the Octatrack. It's about something else. But I'm using the Octatrack because it actually is a very, very good pairing if you happen to have the Moog semi-modulars, but it doesn't have to be them. Obviously, any outboard gear, but it works kind of particularly well because these three are all monophonic devices, and I've got them coming in on channel A, B, and C, so I can set them up coming in to the mixer, and then from the mixer the Octatrack as a mixer. I've got 2 effect sends per device, and I can sample the output of everything. So and that's what I've been mostly sampling, really, is sampling performances of all three. So the Octatrack is very kind of is actually really ideal in that way. One thing that you always have to kind of bear in mind, not just with this Octatrack but with a lot of hardware samples, is the small amount of memory for the buffer memory, and the buffer memory. Well, I'll just do it very briefly on here. There's something that is worth knowing about. I'm not using the buffer memory. Well, at the moment I am. I can look what's in my buffer memory. I can look in by looking at the whatever is in the record engines is in the buffer memory. And that buffer memory is kind of pre-allocated on a brand new project. And this, again, this sort of stuff sort of seems really complicated. But if you come into the control part in the settings, navigate down to memory, then you get into some kind of in-depth settings for how the buffer memory works. So, for instance, the flex format. So the flex, again, is the recordable engine. It means flex. Another way of thinking of flex is that that's the format of the buffer. The flex uses the buffer. Okay. And it's set to 16-bit, but it could be 24-bit. Oops, I'm going to leave it as 16-bit because these are pretty loud. So I don't know, there's an awful lot of benefit doing them 24-bit. But dynamic recorders is set to no. Now, if I change dynamic recorders to yes, now the recorder format, if I want to record 24-bit files, I can play 24-bit. I can. I'm still going to just record at 16-bit. But here's the weirdy bits. Reserve recordings, record 1 to 8. I can basically choose which of the how much recording time I'm reserving for each of these 8 record engines. It's like, this sort of stuff is really bizarre. But if I go to dynamic recorders, I say yes to dynamic recorders and turn off reserve length. None. Sorry, reserve recordings, none. Now, with that particular set of settings, 16-bit, dynamic recorders, yes, reserve recordings, none. That now if I come out of that menu, it's going to ask me, look, playback will be stopped and record buffers will be lost. It basically needs to refresh its own buffer memory. So we'll say yes, because we've been saving to the card, which is great. Now, that long-winded thing, what that's all about is now, if I wanted to, I could set my record up and instead of setting it up in this menu to be 64 steps, which is the longest it can be from a kind of quantized point of view, I could set it to max and then I can press record and then it will record for, I think it's around 5 or 6 minutes. I might ask the chat room to look that up for me, please. But that's the way you get to it, and it's a bit weird if you don't do that. And the amount of reserved memory is kind of keeping enough buffer memory in each of the record engines to be ready to kind of capture stuff into the buffers. But if you're not using it that way, and if you're using it as a way of recording your jams, and I can imagine a lot of people with Eurorack or that kind of thing might want to use it in that way, then you have to go through those steps, setting the memory up that way to allow it. Oh, it does actually tell me here. I think I got 500 seconds. So 500 seconds is quite long, isn't it? I mean, how many minutes is that? It's quite a few. So So with it set up like that, then I could just kind of get lost in a kind of long jam. Oh, here we go. 44, 16-bit, 8 minutes, 7 seconds, 48K at 24-bit. Is that mono? Yeah. That would be, wouldn't it, I think? Or is it stereo? Thank you, Carol, for posting those details up, though. Jokes Blokes says, if they release an Octatrack Mark III with NVRAM SSD slots and such, they'd sign up. Yeah, do you know, I mean, Octatrack is old technology, really, you know, and it's using compact flash, which very few modern, like new devices use. Sorry, Carol was reporting there specifically about the Octatrack settings, and he's saying Octatracks. Oh, are you saying that? No, he's asking, question mark. Octatrack always stereo. I think no. I think no. You can record mono. I think, or can't you? No. I think it's always stereo. I think so. Native VS is saying compact flash is still great though. In terms of reliability, it's certainly fast enough in the Octatrack to handle what it's doing, but I don't think it's fast. I don't think the compact flash format would be fast enough for, maybe multi-track recording. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not sure. But it's got compact flash. It's also got USB 1.1, so you can't even do MIDI over USB on this thing actually either. The USB is purely for transferring samples at USB 1.1 speed. Nordic Noir saying you can record mono, you just choose ABC. Yeah, I know you'd record it mono, but would it actually just record that as dual mono and it still be it still be like a stereo file but dual mono? I thought that all the tracks are always stereo, so yeah, okay. Yeah, ALM saying gripes with the Digitac. It's stereo in, but it only records in mono. It's true. And you can only play back mono samples on the Digitac. But it lets you bring in left and right, which is kind of good, but bad that you can't record in stereo. I think this, if you want to sample in stereo, it's all about the Octatrack, I think, in Elektron world. And I think the same is true with the sampling of the rhythm as well. I think you can only sample the mono. I think, yeah, because it's a mono engine. The rhythm. Yeah. Native VS is saying, what's the problem with USB 1 and MIDI though? There were plenty of USB MIDI interfaces pre-USB 2. Yes. I don't know. That's a mystery, isn't it? To be selling a product and a premium price product in 2021 and the USB is not, there's no MIDI on it is it's kind of terrible really. But I'm not going to give Elektron too hard a time with it because it has got MIDI in. It does mean you can sync it to your computer. I just think that when they went to the Mark II, they just really didn't want to. They didn't want to break anything like that. I'd have thought that would have been an ideal opportunity to add a bit more system RAM and to add, maybe make it, SD card rather than compact flash and improve the blooming time stretch engine as well, because. The time stretch, it's not the greatest time stretch. And with it being a sampler, you really want a really good time stretch. But also just things that the Octatrack isn't, what the Octatrack isn't, is a really good multi-sampler for sampling instruments. Any sample that you change its pitch is always over only just an octave below and an octave above. And that always feels a bit frustrating because I want to really, you can change the rate and really slow things down way down, but in terms of doing it in stepped pitches, it just gives you just like an octave up above and an octave below whatever pitch it was sampled at. So yeah, so there's definite sort of negative points with the Octatrack, like I've just been mentioning. However, it still is this utterly unique thing. So the crossfader is like a piece of a masterpiece of implementation. So come on, guys, get on with it. We've got, do I really need 10 samples? How many have I got? I got 6. I got up to 6, didn't I? Yes, I do. Right. Right. Okay. I'm going to be focused now. I'm just going to make another 4 samples quickly, and I'll just do those fairly spontaneously. And then we'll move to the next step. How late is it? Oh God, I've been on for ages already. Are you all right with me doing this, or shall I do more samples, or shall I just jump to the sample manipulation? Right, I'll do. Well, let's do one more. Come on. Yeah, let's get a percussion on the go. Ouch. I always wanted to be a drum machine to make these kind of sounds. Yeah, like it. Did that old thing again. Let's bring the level up. Oh, I'm going to stop that. I set the record length to max there. I'm going to keep to the thing that I've been doing and truncate it to 64 steps. So I'll just do that again. What else was I thinking just then? No, that's all good. Oh yeah, maybe the length, all right, the level looks good. Let's just go for that again. And I put the level up, but I don't think it needs to go up. Let's do that again. But now it'll record for 64 steps. Armed. Let's do it. Okay, that one will do. Quick. Oh, where am I? Edit recording. Yeah, no. Save this recording. Yes. Paste. Where are we at? 7. Yes. Assign to free static. Yes. Okay. More. Different. Funky for me. Yeah. It's a rockin'. Yeah. 64 steps of funk. Nice. Stop. Ready. Save this recording. Yes. Paste. Quick. 8. Yes. All right. Assign free static. Yes. New. Yeah. Ooh. Ouchie. Okay. Yes. It's cool. Oh, come on. Okay, that got my goose grooving. Save this recording. Yes. Quick. Paste. Yes. 9. Yes. Assign. Yes. That'll do. 9 will do. 9 will do. 9 will do. 9 will do. Okay. All right. Thank you, DFAM. We can all bid the DFAM a good night. It's served its purpose now, and we're going to go into Octatrack land. Right. So now, I think what I'll do now is I'll use that part. I was mentioning I was going to use parts. So what this kind of enables me to go to parts means I can keep my tracks all configured should I wish to carry on the sampling process. So I could, another way of looking at this is part 1 is my sampling setup. So when I go to part 2, this will be my playback one. So what I'll do is I'll create a 4-bar I'll create a 4-bar pattern, and I'll just do it like so. Oops, my friend is ringing. I'm going to embarrass her live on the show. Hey, hello.
Hello.
And just a warning, you are live on the Gaz Williams show. I've just put your microphone up, put your phone up to the microphone. So
I'm so sorry. I've so interrupted.
No, this is the amazing Helen Stanley of Ursa fame, and also Crippled Black Phoenix, and, well, more importantly, Asteroid Deluxe and Rumbelows.
Yay!
Bands that I play in as well, and will be featuring in upcoming videos soon. So you'll all get to know her, and she is amazing, inspiring, amazing musician. So I thought it might be quite a funny way to introduce you to the wider audience. But just say bye for now.
Yeah, speak to you soon.
All right, bye. All right. What amazing musician, honestly. She loves synth. She's an amazing synth player. She's flipping amazing. Great pianist. Great. So, yes, there we go. Back on track. Right. So I've created the longest a single pattern can be is 64 steps. But something to bear in mind, each step doesn't have to be like a 16th to represent a 4 bars. You can make it run at different scale lengths, so it can run much slower, so you can have a lot more activity going on in a single pattern. And of course, once you start bringing in probability and the things that you can do with the you can add in steps. We're going to be doing this kind of thing, and then we can put our trig conditions and that kind of stuff in there, and that is the sort of fun we're going to have now. So first thing I could do is, at the moment, this is set, these trigs, when I'm not in record, are set to kind of trigger any of the samples that are on that are set up. Oops, which I haven't really got many set up, but what I'll do is, though, instead is I'm going to change the steps, what they're doing. Instead of them changing tracks or chromatic, I'll move it firstly to playing slots. Now, this is not a Las Vegas playing slots kind of thing, but rather I can play these different slots. There are the 9 samples that we've made. So, oh, hang on. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why do they not play down there? Why are these not playing? I just can't remember why they're not. Why they wouldn't be playing. Let's have a look at that. Anyway, we can have a look at our list, and there they are. So I'll just load into slot 1, sample 1, into slot 2. Yeah. Okay. So they're. See, this is. I can't remember why all of those samples aren't set to play. Right. Okay. I'm not going to worry about that just at the moment. But I don't really want to play them like that. But it's just kind of showing that you can play them like that. But then. Let's just keep going out. 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, I'll just have of my 9 samples, 1 to 7 are mapped straight away anyway. So let's start building things up. Okay, and I will start with that one. I'll start. Right, let's do that then. So go into record. Whoa, hang on. Let's just clear up things. Yeah, okay, we're all good. Whoa. Just getting all our samples set up. Okay. Let's just start. In fact, I'm going to mute all the other tracks for now. I'm just going to have track 1. Oh yeah, by the way, I have got track 8 set up to be a master track, and that is something that you do in the project settings, and you go into audio and you choose track 8 to be either master or normal. If it is set to normal, then it behaves exactly like the other tracks, but if it is set to master as it is now, then that acts as you're giving up that track to be a master bus. But what's cool about that is it means you've got an overall level. When you pick that one, it controls your output, your mix level, but it also means its effects can be used. Yeah. So this is pretty cool. It's ace. In fact, it's really cool that you can do that. But you do have to give up one of your 8 tracks. So that's the way that this is currently set up. I've got all the tracks muted, and muting is a question of, like I can just change tracks like that, and the buttons feel great doing stuff like that. So let's just mute them ones out then. So I've just got a single track playing now. What I'll do is, for the moment, I'm just going to restrict my pattern to being just 16, just so it's easier to work with. And what I'll do is I'll just fill it up with steps, with trigs, and then these trigs. Then, if I press and hold a trig, I can then pick from one of the 9. And I'll just do something. I'll just do it for fun. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm locking 5, 6. I mean, this is going to be horrible. 7, 8, 9. And now I've got them. I can go. Let's take 4, and I'll copy them. I copied them 4 trigs, and I'll hold them down, paste them 4 in there, first 4, and then we'll take the final 4. Actually, I don't need 4, the final 3 I'll take. Copy and put them in on there, paste. So that's a new feature that the new update brought out, being able to do multi-trigs copying like that. I think it's really cool. Okay, so let's get back and let's get our sound We should be having sound. Let's see why we have no sound. Did I mute? Oh yeah, I did. I muted the master output. Let's just bring that back in. Oops. I know, and then he goes, oh, why is there no sound? Have I turned it down here? Have I turned the level down? My level, my click. Okay, my click is there. Oh, yeah, sorry about this. This is one of those things of like, why no sound? Let's go to track 2. Let's just see if I'm doing something wrong here. Clearly doing something wrong. I've lost the sound. I don't know why I've lost the sound. Yeah, they are like kind of infuriated, you know, because it's sort of like I mean, I'm feeling the pressure at the moment, which isn't helping. But I'll try putting some. Let's just try and get in something that makes a sound for a moment. Put some steps on there. No, that doesn't like it. Some steps on there. Oh, did I filter? Oh, did I filter out? Did I use the filter? I did. Look at that. In my eagerness to please, I filtered it out. Oh yeah. Well, that's cool. That gives me a opportunity to do something cool, which is, if you want to reset a parameter page, then you hold these buttons down, and underneath the record, play, and stop button is copy, clear, and paste. So hold down the effects and clear page, and then clear page. That puts it back to into what it should do. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. We're all friends here, aren't we? You can forgive me a few little slip-ups here. That was me. But again, you know, that's that thing I'm saying about the kind of lack of certain visual information. I don't, you know, so my master track, I had to filter all the way down. So, right, this is going to be a bit horrible until I tame the beast now. Let's play this. That isn't sounding anything like it. Let's take out. Let's do this one step at a time. See, so sample 1 is pretty hardcore, isn't it? Let's put sample 2. Oh. I think these samples, I must have made a mistake when I was doing no, there it is. Okay, let's just put more in these now. I think I'm going to do this a different way. So the way I'd rather do this is from that track, from any of the samples. I was trying to just do that as a fast way just to do stuff, but actually that didn't really work out. So I think what I would do though here is the sample that's loaded into track 1, I'd hit the slice grid now, and now it's given me a chance to slice up that and we can do it from 2 slices all the way up to 64 slices. Well, let's do it 4 slices. Yes. And it's asking me align markers to 0 crossing, and we'll say yes, so we don't get nasty clicks again. And now I've got that first sample into 4 slots. So I think I would probably do something like that. That track feels too... I didn't normalize that second one. I think this is what's happening, is that some of these are playing back really quiet. So I should have perhaps normalized them. But in order to normalize, this is a bit frustrating. You can't do certain edits if it's a static machine. You have to turn it into a flex machine to do anything like that. So what I'd have to do there is I'd have to navigate, turn it into a flex machine. Then I'd have to load in that same sample into the flex machine in order for me to edit it. And that is a bit of a pain. So that's why when I was kind of trying to get the levels right, rather than having to, if you're going to make static samples for the Octatrack, it's kind of best before you commit them to the compact flash card to have done a bunch of things. So the normalizing, it takes a bit too long, and I thought that would slow things down too much on here. But this kind of stuff kind of shows up some of the failings, the shortcomings of this way of working. Certainly shows up my shortcomings. I'm looking at the time. I'm thinking I've gone on a bit too long. But then I don't feel like you're having your proper payoff of like some banging techno. Right, okay. I'll tell you what, just for the moment, I'll just have a little bit of fun with the crossfader on this, because it's just ace. Simply holding it down and then changing, like I'll put the pitch up an octave. Or I could reverse it. Now, why I think this is such a cool system is the settings that I'm putting on this. I could have a whole different setting. This is set to 9 at the moment. Put it to 10, and then this time I'll put the pitch down. Change it back to 9, goes up and backwards. So you can... And you can start stacking loads of things to happen when you crossfade. Including I can change where the sample starts from. We've got that playing on track 2. It's just quiet, so let's boost the level up of that. Let's drop the level of that. Now, you can use the LFO in loads of cool ways. Let's just... Oh, it's so quiet, this. I must have just... I'm not sure why I've... Yeah, I can see it's super quiet. I'll tell you what. Just for fun, I'll select it. Yes, normalize, because I turned it into a flex engine just to allow me to do this. And then what I should do is, once I've normalized it, well, it didn't take too long then, is I should save, and it's number 2. So I'll save an assigned sample. I'm going to save over it. Yes. A file already exists. Overwrite. Yes. And now, actually, what would have been a clever idea, I was showing you the parts. I was showing you the part. I should have switched back my parts to do the edits. Duh. You see, this thing is actually really good. If I put this back to being a static machine, yes. And it's set up right with the right file. Great. What I perhaps should have done then actually was go back to part 1. Then I've already got a flex machine set up. Go into that flex machine, loading in the file, bam, 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 edited in that part, and then gone back to part 2 for the sequencing. Does that explain maybe the uses of the part? Possibly, but you know, that's the sort of thing. You can have these different working environments, and you've got the four different ones. And I believe that the parts are on a per bank basis, and you've got like 16 patterns in a bank. Change the bank to bank 2 or bank B, and in bank B you can have different parts. So again, this is where this thing becomes like a utter definition of the infinity box. So you can just keep on going with it. So anyway, let's have a look what we got going on. Oops, that didn't sound like it was much louder. Let me just see. Track 2. Edit. Oh, doesn't look like it saved the normalized one. Let me just make sure. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm making mistakes left, right, and center here. Oh, okay. Well, I can't, but I can max out some gain there. In static mode, I can add another 12 dB of gain, so that should actually... Ooh, it's a bit clicky. Why is that so clicky? I'm going to move on to the next. I don't like that sample. It's too clicky. And these ones seem quiet. Oh, that's right, because they're just single hits. Let's have a look at that one. I think I perhaps wasn't giving it quite enough time for it to load in, so... Okay. Ouch! That one is... Did I normalise the wrong one? I think I normalised the wrong one. I think I normalised what was in track 1. Maybe. Oh! Yeah. Yeah. They can be trying. I want a higher pitch thing going on here in this one. Oh, nice. Okay. Let's put a little bit of that. There's this lovely reverb in here, the dark reverb. Even for a 10-year-old device, this reverb has still got a nice quality to it. Make it a bit darker, make it a bit longer, mix it. Okay, let's do something to the reverb when I on the crossfade, whack it up, make it long, and I'll make it brighter as well. Drop that level down a bit. Okay. Here's our kicks now in 4. So let's slice up 4. 8. And we'll have 8 slices. So now, let's just stop that a moment. I've got my kicks here. So what I want to do really is just set the slice mark to the. Let's just zoom it a little bit, like so. So it's nice that you've got two types of zoom. You know, you've got horizontal and vertical zoom. So the vertical zoom is great for setting the, you know, getting this in tight. And something that's worth knowing is every so often there's a teeny little square that appears at the, I don't know how easy it is to see that, but you'll see occasionally a little square. But what that is a zero crossing. But if you hold down the function button and then do it, then this is only looking at zero crossings. In fact, if I zoom right in, maybe we can see that. Yeah, so it's only letting me snap to zero crossings like that. So that's fab, you know. That means we can get our start points, we can make our start points, we can snap them, and then we can get them, you know, right bang on each one. Now, something I do need to do though is go back to this particular track, and I want to turn on slices. So things to remember. Turn on slices. So I've enabled slices for this track. Now, if I make this what the trig buttons do, and move them now onto slices here, then we've got our 8 slices, of which I've only actually set the first one. So if I get the grid up, I basically hit one, and I can see, there we go, snap it on. Next one, move it. I'm holding the function down to keep it so it's. Let's just bring the end in so it doesn't hit. Fifth one. Yeah, making them a bit shorter. Snap. This one. Snap. This one. Snap. Let's change that zoom level a bit. There. And then the final one, which is our longest one. See, so that sounded pretty quick, really, wasn't it, to sort of set up? As quick as it would take on a computer. Quicker, perhaps. So, with those enabled like so, play the track. Drop into record. Bit hectic pattern. Let's just solo that. It's terrible. Let's do that again. It's too mighty, that. It's too mighty. So what I can do, when I hold that slice down, I can see on here, you can just see that there, it's saying slice 8. So I could pick one of the... So each of the steps I can just go here, that's playing slice 3, it's playing slice 5, it's playing slice 6. So if I put a short one... Okay. So we got stuff going on. So that way of so setting up slices is absolutely a major workflow element of the Octatrack. So that really busy, crazy pattern on sample that's on track 1, I'm going to slice that up now, and I'll slice that into 8. Yes. And then we'll just set these up pretty quick. Oh, so I have enabled slices. There's my 8 slices, and I will get my didn't need any slices. Actually, it's getting tighter on that one. See, this part of it, I think it is really ace. It is a really cool way of working with samples. Once you know, say there's quite a lot of... Okay, so it's a bit ugly, isn't it, this thing, but it's kind of cool. Sorry, that's your head saying it's like a game of Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm sort of sailing a bit rudderless, really. I was kind of hoping to show you that this is kind of quite an interesting workflow. You know, let's say there's a bag of things to have to remember, but you know, obviously the world's your oyster then, isn't it? Once you've got the samples in, there's so many things you can do in terms of manipulations, pattern building, song building. Let's just get another loop up. What's happening in 3? A snare. Okay, that's... So this stuff in 1, I just put I can do loads of things. So I can with the amplitude, it's on hold at the moment. But I could just, so these, I can use the envelope. And now if I just change these up for different slices, go back to my slice page and just pick different slices. And with it being all parameter lockable, we can drop different pitches on. And I got LFOs. There's so many things we can do now. So LFOs, I'll set LFO on track 1. This kind of crazy sound here. I'm going to set it to go through, I'm going to just set that first LFO to go to the balance. So let's get some stereo action going on. So the speed is going, I think it's taking it's spending a more or less a bar on one side and then a bar over to the other side. So a multi, I can half that, half it again, half it again. So the multi, if you leave the speed set on 32, that's like a division that works with the kind of grid. So changing this multi rather than changing the LFO speed kind of keeps you on grid. Depth, obviously, just how wide it's going. Now, there is a kind of cool sequencer hiding in the LFO designer. Because we can do some pretty cool things with that. Let's do that on track. On track 5. Let's just mute out these tracks now. Let's see what we've got on track 5. Oh, we got that pattern playing on. We got that sample playing on track 5. Have I got that on somewhere else? Yeah, I have on 2 as well, haven't I? So let's change that. Let's find another one of the later ones. Yeah, let's use that. So we'll use the LFO designer on this one. Let's just see let's see if that's actually locking first with what's going on. Okay, it's pretty funky. Well, funky. Okay, let's take them out. See that move? How cool am I? Oh, missed one. Not that cool then. Okay. Okay, so I'll use the LFO designer on this one, and so I'll go into LFO, and I'm going to go into the design. And with the LFO designer, you've got 8 slots within a part. So go to design. Now it's using our step keys. Waku saying no, it's getting groovy. It only took 2 hours. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I am Mr. Magoo. I don't know. Right. So the LFO designer, I haven't actually got it to go anywhere first, but I'll just show you this really quickly because it is super cool. I can pick a step, any step, and then I can choose what I want the value to be on that step. So it's like a sequencer, really. So if let's demonstrate this then. So if I was to say, I just remember how to do this now. On this channel, yeah, we're going to have the LFO designer. I can randomize or I could invert, and you can do all of that in real time. So that sort of stuff is pretty cool. Actually, let's randomize. Why not? And now we get this shape here. Okay, let's play it. Let's play it. So if we were to look at the LFO and then I'll set that to be a faster LFO actually. Let's so, you know, I won't get into it too much. Well, I can grab any of those steps and I can reshape them. So if I want it all. I'm just getting this. Oops, just get that back. LFO. That's right. So LFO 3. Sorry, I was doing that wrong. What you have to do is you have to tell, like, so I want LFO 3 to be, oh yeah. In the LFO wave, this is where I'll find it. So if I go through it, I've got my different, you know, as what you'd expect, different waveforms for an LFO. But if I keep on going, And you got lots of different ones, actually. It's really cool. Then you get to track 1 to 8. And when you see track 1 to 8, that is the LFO designer. So when you set up an LFO designer for, say, in this case, track 5, any of the tracks can use that pattern. So here we go. This will probably sound crazy now, but let's have a look now. So go into the LFO setting. Sorry, LFO. We go to design. Yeah. I didn't set what it was doing, did I? So let's go back into LFO3 a moment. The destination. It's going to pitch at the moment, but I'll have it go into rate. That'll do some cool stuff. Let's get back into the LFO designer. So you're getting the gist of it. So I can make my crossfade do some interesting stuff now. So I'll hold B down and I'll... Oh, I don't think I can set LFO. Ah, you can't. Ah, mean. No, it doesn't let you map LFO functions on that page. You can on this page though. So I'll do it here and I'll say set LFO2 up. Yeah, so I'll just hold that down, set that max out there, bring that down. That's quite cool. Because our LFO rates are changing as I whack the crossfader across. If it happens to move whilst it's on the rate, like that, it gets quite weird stuff happening. Okay, let's go. So we'll make the volume of this one track 1. We'll make the volume of this really minimum. So, yes, it's kind of, I'm still literally just scratching the surface. What this is all in one pattern, and then, you can pattern chain and then do all sorts of stuff, having each track length running at separate lengths, so it's all polyrhythmic. Actually, we could do that with a snare, couldn't we? If I set the track length of the snare, I want to change. Just I'm about to do this now. Per pattern settings. There we go. So scale mode. if I set scale mode to per track. Okay. So now whichever track I'm on now, if I come into this little scale menu now, I can make them last for different lengths. So let's take that snare one and let's change this. Let's change where it happens. So it knocks it out. Why not? Oh, it's not. That's not the snare one. Okay. That's our snare. What have I done to my... Why have I lost my snare? Okay. Here we go. I think that's... Ignore this, I've not quite got that right. I think... here we go, I'll do this instead. Jump to each of the tracks and set the length. So things are running. God knows what's happening now, you see. The track is all different tracks are all running at different lengths. Yeah. And I think, and on that note, I think I should sign off. Adding the stereo bonkersness added a lot of life to the sequence. Yeah. It does. It really does. And of course, God, anyway, I was just about to sign off, but now you've just inspired me now. On the master track now, we can also get some crazy stuff happening as well. So let's just get the LFOs going on the master track. Why not? Yeah, so depth. Verb it out over. Not verb, delay. Remember, this is all happening in just pattern 1. So all the action you can build in just a single pattern. And then, I'm going to go to pattern 2 and... So just any samples playing will still carry on playing, but play pattern 2. Fresh. Ugh. Right. Okay. Thank you, folks. As I said at the top of the show, I'd actually been working on a album project that I've been working on all week, and I will continue to this week. Fantastic, like kind of fusiony, very heavily inspired by Henry Cow. A really interesting project recorded in Rockfield. Having a great time working on that, but we're working long hours, and I went straight from that session straight to this. So I was literally just thinking, what am I going to do? So I've thrown this together. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's, I love the Octatrack. And sometimes when I was flailing around, absolutely is the experience many people will have of the Octatrack, in that it's, it demands a lot out of you. However, as I hope you can see in that end there, where I was just starting messing around with stuff, not the greatest piece of music. I was kind of a bit compromised doing it. However, it is just a terrific amount of fun once you've assembled your bits in, and the way that you can manipulate them afterwards is huge, vast, and ultimately loads of fun. Okay. Thanks everyone. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you ever so much. Just a few things to newbies. Please consider subscribing, and if you could even like this video, that would be really good. Again, I don't know why. Maybe it means more people will get to see it, perhaps, which is a good or bad thing. I don't know. But yeah, and thanks once more for the international declaration as well. Seeing where you all are is something that is a huge thrill and makes me feel incredibly honoured to have your company with me. So I'll be back on Monday evening. If you're interested in my adventures in Eurorack, that's late night, 10:30 GMT. So I apologise to my European friends, of which there's loads of you, it seems. That is quite a late one. However, you can always pick it up at any other time, as these streams will always stay online. Oh, thanks for the nice comments. Oh, getting from Prague and Canada too now, joining in to the international fantastic stew we have on the show. Okay, so yeah, please join me. If you haven't seen my show this Monday, Eurorack, then I've been covering the Waldorf KB37, sadly, to kind of recognise it's just been taken out of production. But that, going forward, for my adventures in Eurorack, I'm going to be basically always using that as the basis for new instruments and new adventures. So I explain all of that in Monday's show. And so please take care. Stay creative, stay excited, stay in touch, and thanks once more for joining me and for your continued support. And I shall say bye for now. Thanks. Good night.